Hi, this is Bradford Heap, and I'm cooking today for you a little grass-fed beef steak salad with some local farmers market greens. These greens were just harvested out at Oxford Farm by Peter Voles. So this is a great idea for like a nice, healthy spring dish. It's going to be on our new menu at Salt. So we're going to start off with the grass-fed beef. This is available at Alfalfa's. It's also available from your local farmer. If you look up grass-fed beef on the computer, there's a lot of people that sell quarter beef, half beef, and I really am a big fan of the grass-fed beef. I'm going to go ahead and season this for you with a little bit of salt. I like to come up about a foot away from whatever I'm seasoning and go ahead and just give it a nice amount of salt, a little bit of the pepper, and that's just freshly cracked pepper. Then we're going to take just a little bit of olive oil, and we're just going to pour just a little olive oil so it doesn't stick to our grill. So you don't want to do this ahead of time. You want to do this right before it goes on the grill, okay? So that's a critical item. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you this is my top secret cooking technique for all you home barbecuers. Is if you take a towel, sacrifice one of your kitchen towels, and you take it and you put on some, save off your bacon fat or any kind of animal fat works best. You can use some cooking oil, but if you really want to season your grill so your food won't stick to it, see that? And it cleans off any of the debris off of the grill as well. So we change this rag out frequently, but the grill is super hot, and we're going to go ahead and place our product right on there on top of that hot grill. Now it's been cleaned off and it's been seasoned. So those are two of the big things that I never see home barbecuers do. People get nervous when I go to their house and I do a little barbecue for them. So basically, if you do these two things, you don't have to be nervous if I come over anymore. Okay? It's all going to be good. So basically, you want to cook on a high flame. The other thing I see the people at the home barbecues not having the patience for is let the coals die down. Okay? Don't try and cook it on a ripping hot fire. Let it go to gray and let it be kind of more of a very hot fire, but not something that's still on fire. It should be kind of smoldering in there. So we take at Salt, we take our ashes and we rake the ashes forward, and see how we're cooking on the smoldering bed right here? In fact, if I open this up, you can come over and look inside here. So this is what we're cooking on right here, would be this little smoldering ash bed right here. And that's really what you want to be doing, is you want to be using that temperature. You know, I have been probably for the last 5 years trying to support grass-fed beef, and we just recently got in contact with Teton Waters Ranch, and they do unbelievably good grass-fed beef. The cows start off up in Idaho, and after about 4 or 5 months, maybe 6 months, they start getting bigger. They're brought down to Colorado, and they're finished on grass out here on the eastern plains. And what happens when an animal is treated the way it should be treated, and when I say it should be treated, that is to say that animals such as, well, the bovines, for instance, should never be fed any corn. They should never be fed grains because their stomach was never designed for that. They have a really complex and amazing system with the different compartments in their stomach to take grass and turn it into protein. So they don't need the grain. In fact, the grain makes them sick. And so this is the reason they started getting fed a lot of antibiotics, which is just not a healthy thing to do, is to feed an animal antibiotics. So the beauty of the grass-fed beef, when you have that on your table and you feed that for your family, you cook that up for your family, I should say, is the fact that you're not going to be giving them any of the antibiotics. And they also, most of the factory farm meat gets a implant in its neck. It's a growth hormone. It's something that you don't want to be feeding to your kids. I know that I don't want to feed growth hormones to my kids. They're already going to be big enough, and it's just not a healthy thing. So those are two of the things that grass-fed beef will not give you. The things that it will give you, I'm going to just go ahead and turn that a quarter turn, give the marks on it. The things that it will give you is a much higher proportion of omega-3 fatty acids in your diet. And everybody's kind of going wild for salmon, and they think that, you know, salmon is a really good way to go. And it's true, salmon is a great source of omega-3s, but certainly not farm-raised salmon. Farm-raised salmon is, you just as soon not eat any fish if you're eating farm-raised salmon. Wild Alaskan salmon is a great source of omega-3s, and so is this beef here. This beef has a high proportion, almost as high as salmon, in the omega-3s for this beef. So for those reasons and the fact that it's much leaner than a factory farm grain finished product, you're going to find this to be a much healthier product. So when I eat meat and when my family decides to eat meat, we always eat the grass-fed because I think it's much more flavorful and it's kind of true to what the product should be and the way that nature intended it to be. I know that's kind of a cliche term, but I firmly believe that feeding grains to cows is not healthy for them and not healthy for the people that consume them. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put some nice croutons out there, little crostinis. And this beef is looking good. We're going to let it cook just a little bit longer. It's getting cooked on all sides. And I like to caramelize all sides of the steak if possible, so I'm going to go ahead and caramelize that side. So the caramelization, what that does is anytime you caramelize it, like if you taste table sugar on your tongue and just taste it and then you taste caramel, caramel is way better. Just like an onion by itself tastes one way, caramelized onions taste awesome. So one of the big goals that we have as chefs is to concentrate flavor and reduce liquid, the amount of liquid, and to caramelize. So nothing will caramelize in the presence of moisture. So as this beef dehydrates on the grill with a high temperature, it will begin to caramelize. Same thing for this bread. It doesn't have a lot of moisture in it, so it's going to caramelize pretty quickly. Same thing with the onion. It's going to caramelize, but only after it loses a lot of the liquid. And we're going to be putting on some lovely little, some local goat cheese on these toasts, and trying to make as much of a local salad for you today as possible. So as I said, these are some local greens that are going to be available this Saturday at the farmer's market, and it's Peter Vols, Oxford Gardens. So when I place on the vinaigrette, I don't like to place it all in one spot. I like to spread it all over the entire surface of the lettuce and the bowl. So that is a way to try to coat it lightly. So you just want to take your tongs, and this is a baby green. So what you want to do with the baby greens is you want to handle them like you'd handle a baby, nice and gentle. You don't want to crunch it up in your hand. You want to be really gentle. So this is really nicely dressed little baby greens here. Getting those from Peter Vols, Oxford Gardens. And there's a nice tasty salad we have. And we have some roasted asparagus that we're going to add for our salad right on top here. Then we've got some nice marinated beets. I'm going to put just a little bit of dressing. So one of the critical things, that another problem that home cooks have, they don't really understand. I'm going to try and help you out with this one. It's a lot about the way that you need to rest either a roasted or a grilled item. When it comes right off of this grill, the outside of the steak is going to be about 400 degrees. The inside of the steak is going to be about 80, 90, 100 degrees maybe. So what we need to do at this point is we need to let the product rest, and there's an endothermic reaction that happens, and the outside and the inside are both going to equalize. But if you think of this steak as a muscle and it's all tensed up like this when it comes off the grill, and by letting it rest and letting those juices redistribute, it allows the muscle fibers to relax like this, so then when you go ahead and slice it, not all the juice is going to be on the cutting board. That's called purge, and you really don't want that. You want the juice to stay with the steak. The only way the juice is going to stay with the steak is if you rest it. Now people say, how long are you going to rest it for? For a little tiny steak like this, I'd say 5 minutes is fine. So after we've rested this for 5 minutes, and you can tell also by the firmness of the beef how well it's cooked, and that's something you can kind of play with at home. But if you feel and touch the steak, that one's about medium. That one's probably more like medium rare. So the harder that the protein gets, the more cooked it is. So if you feel it when it's rare, it's very soft. This is like a medium rare feeling. And I think this tart chev goes really well with the flavor of beef. So we're just going to take this palette knife here and make a few croutons. So I'm going to take the product like this and see how the juices have redistributed in the product so that it's not purging. But it's really important to slice things against the grain. And that's just beautiful. I just love this salad. So we're going to take it and just lay this over the top here. And that steak salad, and there you go, grass-fed, Colorado grass-fed beef salad, asparagus, roasted beets, local chev, and caramelized onions. You know, since the name of the restaurant's Salt too, we could probably throw just a little bit of garnish on top there. And there you have it.